What up, everybody? It's Rusty Metal J. Good morning. I've been telling everybody that I want to work with the lovely Miss Jennette in music and literature, and y'all have seen a little bit of the music. Today, I'm going to read you a short story that I wrote in 2005. It's titled "The Man of Inquiry" and is dedicated to the great lost writer Ambrose Bierce. There once was a man of inquiry. He would go about the village and ask many questions. He always seemed to be asking about something. The people would just answer his questions and suit him for his inquiries. Well, this man, Corlin Dumpson, as was his name, would sometimes ask questions that didn't seem to make much sense. The people would try their best to answer the questions anyhow. They all thought Corlin was just crazy. It came about on a warm spring day that Corlin first began to ask his most unusual question to date. The people, this time being the first time, were completely perplexed, and no one could seem to answer the question. But still Corlin went about asking as if maybe he already knew the answer and was just trying to test the people. The people figured that they should do what could be done to cause for Corlin's dismissal from the village. The people had begun to fear that old Corlin had finally gone over the edge of insanity. They began to think utterly horrendous thoughts that Corlin might try to hurt them or the children. Corlin hadn't, of course, ever been violent, but he had never talked so crazy. The people couldn't even begin to imagine where in the depths of his mind Corlin might have even thought of a question like the question he had begun to ask. So the people decided on a plan to ambush him by laying in wait and tie him up and remove him to the woods far enough away that he wouldn't find his way back. This proved to be an easy task. After a little planning, the stronger men of the village were lying in wait in the spot that was designed as the point of capture. The women of the village were to lead Corlin to the spot where the deed was to be done. One of the church deacons, Susanna Compton, who was one of the more busybody do-gooders in the church, had Corlin follow her by beguiling him with her devilishly apt charm. And Corlin did follow her. He followed her to the spot that was waiting as his capture point. And upon arrival at the spot, the men threw a blanket upon poor Corlin's head, and the plan had worked so far. Now, the strangest thing the people found was that Corlin didn't struggle. He never so much as even flailed his arms in defiance to the plan that the men had destined for him. They took Corlin for miles and miles into the woods. After they moved for 3 hours and about 8 miles, the strongest, who was also the Reverend Cloyce Wilkins, said, "Okay, this is a good spot." So they laid Corlin on the ground and then tied him to a tree. This was done only to give them time to start moving back without Corlin following them. And this they succeeded in. They followed the rope back that Cloyce had cleverly pulled out behind them, for you see the people never ventured this far into the woods. The people got back to the village in about 2 hours and 35 minutes. The women asked the men how it went, and after many congratulations, they decided that Corlin wouldn't be a problem. This was what the people thought anyway, so life in the village went back to normal for about 2 days. On the second day after the plan had worked out, the people were utterly shocked and appalled to see such a sight as they saw. Everyone in the village had to see it, and they still refused to believe it. But there in the sky, riding the strange object, was Corlin. Corlin gave a shout as the object stopped. Now I finally have the answer. What was the big plate-shaped object in the sky doing? It was here for me. So, I have others, but I'm not going to read any others. We won't worry about them. This is just my one read example of one I wrote. And I also write poems. I also write song lyrics. And I'm working on a novel. Jennette's working on her first novel. So hopefully she'll hear this and be like, okay, yeah, he can write. Hey, maybe we should try writing together. If she doesn't want to do music, maybe she'll want to do literature. And if she don't want to do any of that, maybe she'll want to do life. That's the biggest one to me. So, Rusty Metal J is out again.